So tell me about your shower download.
My shower download. Well, for some reason, I started thinking about the book, the children's book, Are You My Mother? By the way, I thought it was called Are You My Mommy, but it's Are You My Mother?
No, that's an adult book.
But the download I had, it was weird because I was taking a shower, obviously.
That's weird.
And I was waiting for... I was waiting for the 3-minute shampoo to activate my dead follicles. And this thought came into my head about the book, Are You My Mother? And how it relates very nicely to people looking for love.
In all the wrong places.
In all the wrong places. So if you haven't read the book, the mom leaves the nest to go find a worm. And the kid bird, we call it kitty bird, falls down from that tree and starts looking around for his mother. He finds the kitten, says, Are you my mother? No, I'm not your mother. Goes to the dog, goes to the hen, and she says no. And as it's trying to find its identity, its attachment, the love it's seeking, it runs into all these people, and some are familiar, like the hen, and some aren't. But still, we try to find someone that we can attach to, hold on to, and create that love for ourselves.
So like this little birdie that falls from the nest, we human beings go out looking for a soulmate, you're saying? Or a mother?
I think a belonging, a sense of belonging, a sense of love, attachment. And we're looking in all the wrong places, obviously. And I think if we go down that route, we don't find love within ourselves, we don't find happiness within ourselves, we try to attach to anyone who may be in our heads, the one. And at the end, as the bird is walking around, the characters get, I guess, more non-bird to a point that it gets to this machine. They call it snort. Is it a snort? I don't know.
I think that's the sound that it makes.
Yeah, it's a bulldozer.
It's a bulldozer. And it's so tough and rigid and unlike the bird. But I think the point of the story or the download I had was that you have to go through all these things to a point that you get to someone who is so opposite of what you're looking for, or an event that just rocks you, that you understand that going home is coming home to yourself. So that snort character, big, bulky, loud,
Non-biological entity.
NBE, right? I think that would be the equivalent of a divorce, the equivalent of an abusive wife or husband, the equivalent of finding the wrong type of love. But in that story, that snort thingy lifts up the bird and plops it back into its nest because he's coming home. He is finally, after going through all these trials and tribulations, it finally finds where home is. So that would be my download.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Good story.
Yeah. But I mean, in real life, we all find those hens and chickens and dogs and all sorts of characters that we come across. But I don't think we are loving ourselves enough first, because whatever we find, we try to make it work. We try to push it through. We try to put that square peg in a circle, and it doesn't work until something dramatically painful happens that reminds us that we have to go home to ourselves and build what's inside of us first, and then go share that with the people around us.
Some people are born in the nest and they stay there. And I think either you are too happy with who you are, or you're too afraid to experience life. I would like to think that none of us will want to go knock on the wrong doors looking for attachment, love, but that's just in a fantasy world, because everybody wants attachment, sense of belonging, love. So I think we all, at some point, we will fall out of the nest, go for a walk through the neighborhood, get beaten up, and come back. And I think the person who is most successful is the one that just goes around one time and then realizes that their self-worth, and there's no more need to be looking, because eventually in that story, the mom comes home with food. Mm-hmm. So maybe happiness is at home, being you.
I love that. I'm not going to go against it because it's beautiful. But I think everyone needs to fall out of that nest. You have to, otherwise you're not going to grow. If you're living in that nest for the rest of your life, sometimes we have to go through the ringer to understand who we are and what really matters. And love is not someone or something outside of us. We have to find that ourselves. And the people who go from person to person is because they're trying to fill that hole, different holes they have. Not in a perverted way, by the way.
Well, yeah, that too.
That too.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But then eventually something dramatic is going to happen. That's why you say, hopefully you'll wake up out of inspiration or desperation. You put yourself on that route or road out of inspiration, out of self-love. But a lot of people don't have it. They're looking for it somewhere else. And once they do find it, I don't think it's going to be sustainable unless they love themselves. How do you know when you found the one?
Wow, what a question.
I know.
It should feel right from the get-go. It should feel like you're not forcing it. It should feel like, obviously there's attraction, but there's chemistry, there's respect, there's a sense of you're connected no matter where you are. So I don't think at the end of your life, you maybe don't even know if you ever found the one.
Yeah.
Because nobody's perfect, but you can come close enough. Like I said, at the end, there's always something that somebody may be missing.
Yeah.
And you always wish maybe if they were a little bit this way or that way, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But so to answer your question, you know they're the one, or at least close to the one, when there's a bond that you can't put your finger on exactly what it is, but you just know when you're close to them, when you're thinking about them, when you're speaking with them, it just feels like you're home.
I love that.
And you?
I'm a romantic. So a big part of me wants to say you found the one when it feels like sparks are flying and you're ready to give your life to them like Jesus Christ did for the world, and they become a big part of your purpose. But real life has taught me that that's all horseshit. I think that the one is the one I'm with. And I would go as far as to say it's the one I'm with at the moment I'm alive. If I'm with you two in this room right now, but I have the one at home, I'm just going to be thinking about them the whole time. That takes me right out of the present moment. No, you're the ones right now. You're the one.
Perfect.
When I'm with my brother and we're flying down the freeway in his Porsche and we've got the tunes blasting and it's 1:53 a.m. and we're coming home from a friend's house, he's the one. When I'm spending time with my mom, she's the one. If I ever date again seriously, that person will be the one because I'm choosing to make the people in my life the one, not because any certain sort of transient, liminal, impermanent thing. No one's perfect. Everybody changes. So the one is the one I'm with. That's my motto.
Perfect. The one for me would be the person that, yes, you have that connection with, but also you work it out with them. Because if you work it out with someone who you have, let's say, 1,000 things in common with, and they're on the same frequency, more or less, about purpose of life and love and everything else, at one point you have to choose to make it work with them. And I think love is a choice also. Not like a mother love or a father love, like that's inherent, but people that you choose to make a life with, choose to see past their imperfections and concentrate on the better things. And obviously if you guys make each other better, then you just work on that. You choose that. People can lift each other up. They can support you in different ways. I think that would be what a good relationship would be, in my opinion. One of the biggest things for me is no matter how much you love someone, love isn't the only thing that's going to sustain a relationship. It has to be a lot more things going on in the background.
Yeah. And that's why I said respect is one of my mutual respect. Like if this young man, he goes home to his significant other, if she respects him as much as he respects her, then the lifting would be mutual. In some cases, the other person respects themselves a lot more and has expectations, therefore, that they don't have to do anything. They have to do it for me. So that's what, going back to my definition of the one, obviously love, connection is good, but I think respect is huge. Yeah,
absolutely.
Respecting each other and each other's needs.
So we have then the 5 C's. Okay,
Ooh.
and you guys may have to jump in here and fill it out because I've only thought of 3. Okay?
I have to.
You have to?
Yeah.
Perfect. So chemistry, first initial thing is chemistry, right? That's the sparks fly like, oh, I like this person a lot. I want to give it a try. Then there's compatibility, okay? Yes, this person has the same life values and whatever as I do. Okay, we're compatible in a lot of things. Then there is connection, right? Which is the most important in my book. You guys could have your own issues, but I think connection is the biggest thing. And connection doesn't come from just pretending, oh, you like yoga, I like yoga. Or you like to, drink Diet Coke, I like to drink Diet Coke. That doesn't make a connection. A connection is something deep inside of here that you feel like you're in the same vibrational frequency and that you maybe know this person from another time and place. and that they feel so familiar and so family-like that you want to make it work with them. Okay, so that's my 3. There's 2 more C's I'm holding out for you guys.
Care.
Care.
Care. Care. You gotta care.
Yeah.
And the last one is respect.
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 I like that one.
Respect, but the C is silent, so we can say
With
respect.
respect was crispy, which everyone likes.
I could add a 6th one.
Okay.
Clarity.
Clarity.
Beautiful.
Because that helps you know where you're going. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them,
Know when
know
to
to
scold
walk
them.
away, know when to run. If there's no clarity and they're all the conditions are feeling right, but there's no clarity about where we're going, why,
Yeah.
then it gets a little muddled in the sitch.
Okay, so now we have 6. Well, 5. His didn't count.
Respect was good.
Respect.
Okay, so we gotta go 7. Like we can't just 6 is such a weird number.
But compassion.
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 I love that.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I think without compassion, it's a shit show.
It really is.
Right.
It's a shit show.
If I take, let's say, her issues and thoughts and try to mend them or at least lend an ear to what they're saying, and they don't give a crap about my stuff, they don't have compassion about what I'm going through, obviously it's not going to work. So it has to be equal. You know, wonderful brother said 50-50 in the sense of care about me as much as I care about you.
Yeah, reciprocity.
Yes,
This is
that would
important.
be, yeah, but you didn't say it with a C.
Reciprocity.
Right. And so we have to, if I give, you give me back. It's not like a transaction, not at all. But if I give love and care and attention and I hear you, I see you, I do all that, it shouldn't be one-sided because I'm not a therapist. I also have feelings. I also have needs. I also have desires. I also have things I want to get off my chest. So if you don't reciprocate and don't care, then I'm sorry, we're not compatible because that connection is not going to be.
I'm a big believer that we should bring back transactionality into relationships. And the reason why I think we should make everything transactional without shame is because that's how we build accountability. If it's all just like, well, I feel and I feel and I feel, that's very sweet. But at the end of the day, I want to say, look, I spent 3 hours listening to your shit. And then you patted me on the head, rolled over and said, no sex for you. In order to maintain accountability here, my expectation is that if I give you emotional support, you also fulfill the needs that I consider important. And if that's an issue, then we have a compatibility problem.
Yep.
But if we run away from transactions or we pretend that's not what it is, I don't believe there's any such thing as unconditional giving. Even the planet Earth does not give unconditionally. If you pick all the fruits off of a tree and then you start to take the leaves, you will kill it. On this planet, everything has its limit. So to expect love to be unconditional or non-transactional is very unrealistic. I don't vibe with that. I want it on paper.
So let's say I had a wife or you had a husband. On this list, you would say, today I give you 3 hours of my attention. The next day I massage you for 2.5 hours. The next day I cooked for you 3 meals. What am I getting in return?
Yes, I think that's fair. That's how you measure compatibility. Because they'll say, oh my gosh, I loved all of those things. Those are all high value things to me. Here's what I give you in return. I give you, a trip to the beach. I'll take you out to dinner and then I'll listen to your problems for 3 hours. And you find the things that you each value. It doesn't have to be the same things, but I mean, find what you value and ensure that the transaction that's taking place is legit.
At what point does that transactional thing becomes unhealthy? In other words, let's say I am an old rich man and I have $200 million in the bank, and I go find a 19-year-old from the local community college who's flipping burgers, and she says, oh, I love you. Go, I love you too. But as soon as that money runs dry, she's out.
200 million ran dry that quick?
Hey, let's say I made
What
a
are you
bad
paying?
investment.
Yeah, seriously. $1 million a day?
No, but here's the thing. I know people in Newport Beach, friends of friends, or friends of clients, who are in a very transactional relationship. First of all, they have to pay the women $8,000 to $50,000, $20,000 per month just to stay with them. They require a certain steak dinner every other night. They require a handbag. They require all those things in exchange for attention and sex.
Yeah.
Now, at which point does that transaction become like a pimp whore relationship?
In this life, aside from children, that doesn't count, all consenting adults are already in a pimp whore relationship. You can narrow anything down to a transaction except the unconditional love you have for your children. It's not transactional with kids. But when it comes to adults, it will always be a transaction.
But where does that cross a boundary between?
I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever does until you decide that what you're getting from the transaction is no longer valuable to you. If the guy you're referencing who's paying 20 grand a month to have a chick fluff him literally and be his nasty mamacita, if that's a valuable transaction for him and he thinks that 20 grand is well spent, there's no issue in that. Spend away, baby boo.
Well, that's sustain a happy relationship.
He doesn't want a happy relationship.
This is what Amanda said. Relationships should be transactional. And if he can't provide her with what she's looking for, then it is over. There's no Cinderella happy ending in what you're trying to ask.
Like you're saying, what do you think a relationship should be? Maybe that's a better place to start.
I do know that there's an underlying transactional property in every relationship, right? If my mom, let's say, cooks for me and I'm a nasty person back to her, she's going to stop cooking for me.
I would just caution, let's not use parents as any example in this, because
Okay.
that's always going to be an unconditional
If my
love.
wife, if my
It's gotta be an
ex-wife,
adult.
future wife, let's not bring ex into it. Let's say if my future wife is kind and giving and all that, obviously if I'm being a dick, it's not going to go well, right? I have to also reciprocate certain things. But at which point does my love and happiness and compatibility and all that stuff, at what point does that become monetized? Let's say if after a while she says, well, I need $20,000 a month to be happy and to stay with you. At what point do I pull the plug and say, wait a minute, I thought this was like a very love-centric, soul-centric relationship.
If in the beginning it was like that, then you expect it.
No, but if it crosses into that,
then you have a psycho on your hands.
Yeah, then you're like, you know what? This is not what I signed up for. Goodbye.
Yeah. You don't have to deal in money. That's very specific for certain socioeconomic classes. It doesn't have to be transactional like money shit. Never bring that into it. But I'm telling you, everything is a transaction whether we acknowledge it or not. So if your partner, your future wife at some point decides that you being in a good mood, your happiness, you said, is not enough to meet her needs, that's going to be an issue. In that case, the currency you're exchanging is your good mood. So you have to get with someone who believes that you being happy and in a good mood is worth the trade.
I love that. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I was going to say, you keep bringing money into it, like the 90-year-old man, old tycoon with $200 million.
Well, the word transaction, I know what you're saying, but the word transaction to some people in, like, let's say the circles of Newport Beach, to them that means I'll give my attention and
yeah. But to this young lady's point, which is kind of brilliant, not fully, but kind of brilliant.
Age 35, we don't say young anymore. Like just this woman.
This old lady. Like if in the old days, it would say, oh, the man's going to go out to work and bring home the bacon. I'm going to be baking pies at home. That's the transaction. The guy comes home to cold beer, food, and pie. Good. And she's going to slave in the kitchen because he's bringing home the bacon.
Yep.
That's the transaction.
That's the transaction.
And it worked.
So 1950s worked.
Everything is
so.
transactional. It doesn't have
still
to be
is.
like that now. Yeah, everything is. Today, it may be different. The wife may be the breadwinner. So she expects her partner to do something that for her is worth that exchange. It's just about finding that transaction and nailing it down. I think the more random we make it and we say all these things about like vibes and happiness, for me personally anyway, that muddies the waters because that doesn't put on paper, that doesn't give the clarity to the dynamic. I want to know what am I giving and what am I getting out of it? Because very quickly, good feelings and chemistry fades and then there's
Reality.
nothing. Yeah, there's reality. And if it's not legit, let's not waste each other's time.
Triple Shot Mindset.